Hi, welcome back to our digital literacy class. I'm Engineer Faith Edo, your resource person. Today we'll be wrapping up the soft skill training we've been on with the topic resume development. It's a very interesting topic. I'd like you to follow closely so that you can understand, and I'm sure you will learn a thing or two or more at the end of this session. So we'll start with definition of the term here, resume. When we talk about resume, what do we mean? What do we understand by the word resume? I'm sure some of us might already be working and we have had to prepare a resume that we probably submitted before we were called up, or some of us might be hoping to get a job and we have prepared resume that we have submitted. How well did you prepare this resume? The resume meet the required standard, and those are some of the things we'll be looking at. And for those that are students, and someday you will be a graduate and you will have to put together a resume. So this is still an opportunity, a very good one for you to learn, so that when the time comes, you know the best way to put together that resume that will give you your dream job. So, like I said, we'll go to the definition of the term resume. According to the Britannica Dictionary, resume can be said to be a short document describing your education, work history, etc. that you give an employer when you apply for a job. A short document, please note a short document that describe your education, your work history, amongst other things like probably your skills that you give to an employer when you are applying for a job. So, like I said, looking at resume development. Now, you said here that whether you're networking, applying for an internal position, or searching for jobs online, you won't get far without a professional resume. Now, me, I will look at resume on the other side as a way of you advertising yourself, telling the your potential employer that this is who I am, this is what background, these are my background information in terms of my educational background, in terms of my work experiences, these are my strengths, these are the values that I hope to give. Now, if you don't prepare a resume, you are more or less informative, unknown, no matter what you have in you, no matter the value that is in you that you have to give out. If nobody knows, if you don't bring out your market for sale, people will not come to buy. So resume is like you packaging yourself for sale. So that is how I look at it in a simple term. Now, here are some short tips and guide on building a professional resume. Number one here, they say you should choose a resume format. There are three standard resume formats: the chronological, the functional, and hybrid, sometimes called a combination resume. For most job seekers, a hybrid resume format which puts equal emphasis on skills and work experience is the best choice. However, in some cases, a chronological or functional resume might work better. Now, I've mentioned this chronological, functional, and hybrid. Yeah, have we heard of this before? What does a chronological resume entail? How does it look like? What does a functional resume entail? How does it look like? What does a hybrid resume entail? What does it look like? I'd like us to just look at this so that we get to know more in detail, because that's practically what this session is all about. So we'll be looking at resume formats, and then we said here that there are three common resume formats, and we've mentioned them: reverse chronological number one, functional number two, combination also known as hybrid number three. Now, each of these format has its advantages and disadvantages, and the format you end up picking have a significant impact on your job search. So we are going to be looking at this format so that you know the right resume format to pick. Remember, they said you must choose the right resume format. How do you know the right resume format? Everybody have different resume format that best suit them at any point in time. So we'll just go straight to it. We have, like we have mentioned, three main resume formats. The reverse chronological, this one is the most common and practical resume format. The reverse chronological resume lists your work experiences and skills in reverse chronological order. You understand? When we talk about chronological, we are talking about time order of something. In this case, order of time. So reverse chronological, like from the most current backward. So this type of resume lists all of your experiences, your skills backward from the most current to the least current. Next, we have the functional resume type. The functional resume is also known as the skills-based resume. What differentiates this format from the other two is that it focuses more on your skills rather than your work experiences. So the functional resume focuses on your skill. What can you do? What background skills do you have that you feel you can use to add a value to your potential employer? So this kind of resume is mainly skill-based, focuses mainly on your skill strengths. And then we have the combination or hybrid type of resume. This one is a combination of both the reverse chronological and the functional type of resumes. So it focuses on both the skills and your work experiences. So these are the three main types of resumes. We shall be looking at them more in detail, starting from the reverse chronological resume format. So they said here that it is the most popular format in 2022. Please take note for job seekers out there. You wish to put your resume online. Some of us have put out several resumes and were never called on, and we wonder why. Probably we have not been doing things the right way. So this is an opportunity. So this reverse chronological resume is said to be the most popular format in 2022. As we progress, we are going to see why it's the most popular format in 2022. It usually looks like this. You can see the passport photograph and your name and your title and your brief description. Remember, we are talking about reverse chronological, like a list of your work experiences from the most current backward. So you can see under work experience, we have here September 2016 to present. So this is the most current, as this person worked as a web developer in this company, Precious Technology Company. And then going down, you can see that April 2012 to August 2016, he worked as a web developer in Virtual Solutions International Company. And then coming down, you can see the courses and training still written in reverse chronological order from the most recently acquired certification to the least recent, and same with educational qualification obtained. So now they said the idea is what you have to include in a reverse chronological resume. Please take note, your contact information, very important. Your contact information includes your name, your phone number, your location, your email address. In some cases, you can include useful links such as your LinkedIn profile. You know, the link to your LinkedIn profile, you can include it. Probably you have sold yourself, your experiences as you have progressed over time. You have sold yourself, so you can include the link there. So next, you can also include your resume summary or objective. This is a brief 2 to 4 sentence summary of your work experience or the objective for you applying for that job or for that position that you're applying for. Next, you have your professional title. Whatever your professional title is, you add a web developer, an engineer, a scientist, a marketer, whatever it is your job title is, you add it. And then next you have your work experience. Your work experience reverse chronological order. When possible, talk about achievements over responsibility. Achievement means what you have achieved. Responsibility are those things that you do in that your job title or the job you are reporting on that you have been doing. You know, when we report that we are functioning as in this position in a particular organization, and then you now start talking about what your responsibilities are, is different. And then when you now talk about the things you have achieved while carrying out these your responsibilities is different. So they are telling us here that we should focus on the things we have achieved while carrying out our responsibility. We should focus on those things more, our achievement more than the responsibilities um itself or themselves. So next we have the skill section. Skill relevant for the position you are applying for. You must indicate skill relevant for the position you are applying for. And then your education, your educational history. So pro tip, if you have a BA, feel free to skip on your high school education. So they are saying that, for instance, you have a degree, don't need to start listing your WAEC or first school degree certificate, because it's generally known that for you to have a degree, you would have gotten your WAEC, NECO, or any other high school certification and elementary school certification as well. So you feel free to skip on those ones. And then next we have optional sections. Sections like voluntary works, projects you have undertaken, personal projects you have undertaken on your own, portfolio, your hobbies, etc. While they are not a game changer, they can help fill up some space on your resume and also give an insight to the kind of person that you are. For instance, if you have background on certain voluntary work that you have been doing, in my case, for instance, this training is a voluntary work. I can put it somewhere in my resume that I volunteered to teach a community of women on digital literacy, and it's there. So it might not be the selling point for me, but it can just be, who knows, a game changer somewhere. You understand? It might not be the selling point, but it can just be what some, oh, if she can sacrifice time, this training must have cost her time, must have cost her data and the effort and all of that. So if she can do this, then that means when need be, we need people to volunteer in our organization, should be able to step up to the game. So I just be what we speak for you. So those sections, we add them as well where applicable. Now we have the pros and the cons, the advantages and disadvantages of the reverse chronological type of resume. So under the pros, we have here that recruiters and human resource managers prefer this format. They are very easy to skim through. They are very easy to skim, and it provides an easy to read chronological history of your work experience, and it is the most popular resume format in 2022. It's currently the most popular resume format. While some of the disadvantages include the fact that it is hard to fill in for a recent graduate with no work experience. You're a fresh graduate, just came out of school. It's very difficult for you to use this type of resume because you practically have nothing to report. Remember, they're talking about work experience. What work experience do you have? Zero. So your resume, if you're using this type as a recent graduate, will practically be empty. Makes career gap very obvious. If you are a career changer, you might want to try one of the other formats. Making career gap very obvious means, for instance, like you had period where you've had to stay out of job. By the time you're using the reverse chronological order, let's say you work from certain time 2012 to 2015, and you were out of work from 2015 to 2018 or 19, you now got a job. It will be very obvious that at this point you were out of job. Why? What happened? It can bring up a lot of questions, and might just be what might make you not to be qualified to be considered for that position. So those are some of the disadvantages of the reverse chronological type of resume. Let's be looking at the functional resume format. Now this resume format has also been called a skill-based resume format. Here is what it looks like. Remember, the other one we said is work experience based. This one is skill based. So you have your name, you have your professional title, you have your objective, you have your email, contact number, address, LinkedIn profile, link, and your Skype profile for those that have that. Just choose to add all of that. And then you can see next we have general skill, leadership, interviews and interrogations, emergency planning and response, time management, and the rest of the skill listed. Then next we have areas of strength. Areas of strength. So can list your areas of strength. Customer service, for instance. So we begin to list security, we begin to list operation and administration. This could be places where you work for a very short period of time, but you excel in this area. Just list them. Personal achievement. You can put probably you carried out the training somewhere and then you were doing some certification, you can add it under your personal achievement. So you have done some voluntary works, you can add it under your personal achievement. Then you have your educational background. Educational background, this educational background is always advised that when you're listing your educational background, you do it in the reverse chronological order. Then your interests, your area of interest, your hobbies and all of that, you add them. So this is a functional type of resume. It's a skill-based type of resume. Now, just like we said, it focuses more on skill rather than work experience. It is mainly useful for recent graduates. This type of resume is mainly useful for recent graduate or career changers since your work experience is not the main focus of the resume. So remember, we are talking about choosing the right format of resume. So that's why we are looking at this in detail so that you can know the right format to choose when you need to put together a resume for yourself. So what to include in a functional resume includes your contact information, as we saw in the sample above, your resume summary or objective, still say professional title, skills summary, additional skills, work experience, and then your education. As you can see, the main difference from the reverse chronological resume is that the focus of the functional resume is the skill summary for all areas of strength, for example, as we saw in the sample above. So examples of skill summaries, we can list something like, oh, I have over 10 years of experience in the service industry as this or that. I have extensive knowledge on this or that. I have experience managing a team of this number. Now I ensure that everything works well. These are just some way you could just state your skill, your areas of strength. The point of a skill summary is to sell your skill set rather than your work experience. Please take notes. The functional resume, you're selling your skill set, what you are able to do, those things that you have, those skills that you have that you feel you can use to add value. So those are what you're selling, not your work experience. The reverse chronological, you're selling your work experience. Oh, I have 10 years work experience as a civil engineer in highway, road, bridges, construction. So I emphasize on all of that, probably because my potential employer is of that background of construction. So I want them to see that I have the relevant experience so I can do it. But in the functional resume, nobody cares about your work experience. What they want to know is what you can do. You understand? What skills do you have that is applicable to that area that you seek to get employment in that organization that you seek to get employment in? So the pros and cons are as follows. Talking about the advantages and disadvantages. Some of the advantages include the fact that it is good for highlighting specific skill. The functional resume highlights specific skill. It is useful if you're switching careers, since you can explain how your skill transfer to the new job. And then it is also useful if you're a recent graduate with practical skill but not much experience. Now, the disadvantage includes the fact that the functional resume is not very popular in 2022, and most recruiters and hiring managers are not familiar with the functional resume. And then the applicant tracking system, ATS, have difficulties reading functional resumes. Now you see why so many of us will put together resumes and we are not called up for that job. And you'll be wondering, this resume was well put together, so why didn't they call me up? We have some automated system that have been designed that applicants, human resource managers and recruiters use to seek for possible employees into their organization, people that qualify to be employed. Now, these have certain design to it that it tracks to get the required information we want. Now they are telling us here that the ATS applicant tracking system have difficulties reading a functional resume. So if you cannot read your resume, how then will your resume be recognized to be considered for the position that is being advertised? So it's very important that we know the right format of resume that we are using when seeking for it, especially when you're throwing it to the online market. Very important. Finally, we'll be looking at the combination or hybrid resume format. The combination resume format, also known as the hybrid, is a mixture of the functional and reverse phonological formats. It also comes with a skill summary section, but there's a greater focus on the work experience. We have example here. There's the name, there's the professional title, there's the objective, and then we have all the other contact information, email, LinkedIn profile, phone number, and the rest, Twitter, and the rest. Now we have the professional skill. It's listed here, graphic design, can use this skill, all of these are the skill. Unless we have the work experience. Remember, we see it's a combination of both the reverse chronological and the functional type of resume. So we've seen the skill. Now we have the work experience listed here. So this is a sample of a hybrid type of resume. Now, what to include the hybrid resume or a combination resume includes your contact information, your skill summary, additional skill, your work experience, your education. A functional resume can have zero or minimal work history, while a combination resume puts equal emphasis on both. A combination or hybrid resume puts equal emphasis on both your skills and your work experience. Usually, the combination resume is for candidates with extensive work experience who need a way to emphasize more work experience and skills with less space. Especially for those that have gone far in their career path. They have a lot to report on. So this type of resume is the best for people of that nature. And it's actually the most commonly used for people that have gone far in their career because they want to report. If you have so much experience, you have gained so much work experience and so much skill, you want to sell yourself as much as you can, sell yourself on the skills acquired and the work experience. So this is the resume that best applies to that. Now, what are the advantages and the disadvantages? So some of the pros and cons are listed here. We have it here under the pro that the hybrid resume allows you to show off more of your experience and skill using less space. It's also useful for very senior professionals or executives who need to highlight more than just their work experience. And then some disadvantages here include the fact that as with the functional resume format, applicant tracking system have difficulties reading combination resumes or hybrid resumes. The applicant tracking system have difficulty reading this type of resume. So you could just prepare a very, very beautiful, well-packaged resume and you upload online and then you are not covered. You want to why what went wrong? The applicant tracking system did not read your resume. So it's advisable you use the resume type that the applicant tracking system can easily read. And for this training, that type of resume is said to be the reverse chronological type of resume. If you are a recent graduate or you don't have much work experience, this resume format is not for you. If you're a fresh graduate, just freshly came out of school, please don't go and start using this type of experience. Don't use the reverse chronological type of experience either. functional resume is the best type of resume. Now, how do you choose the best resume format? Remember, we talked about choosing the best resume format for you. Now that we've covered all three of the common types of resume formats, but probably which one is the right one for you, right? Now, here is what we recommend. In 99% of the cases, we recommend going with a reverse chronological resume format. That's the one that ATS can quickly read. Applicant tracking system can easily read the reverse chronological resume format. So we recommend that you go for that type of resume. So, like I said, 99% of the cases, the previous chronological resume format is recommended for use. In 2022, it is the most common and useful format of resume. Applicant tracking system can read it without any problems. All recruiters and hiring managers are familiar with this format. Whether you're a recent graduate or a senior professional, it's the easiest format to work with. The only case we recommend going with a functional or combination resume is if you are a career changer, and even then it is still quite risky. Now, they say here, true, a combination or hybrid resume will help you emphasize your skills over work experience. However, both of these resume formats are not really that popular in 2020. And we are still living in 2022. There's a good chance that the applicant tracking system won't be able to read your resume. So it won't be able to read your resume and it will automatically discard after all the time. You can imagine after all the time and effort you've put into drafting that perfect resume, and then the applicant tracking system just discards it because it is unable to read it. So at the same time, recruiters might just not be familiar with this resume format, or think that you are just trying to hide the fact that you are not experienced and disqualify you based on that. By the time you start writing plenty grammar, they look at grammar. This person might just be writing it to confuse us. This person might not really have what it takes. Unlike the reverse chronological that just give everything, they state everything back to back from this time to this time. I worked here. This was the project I worked under I worked under this job description, and these were the things I was able to achieve from this time. It's so straightforward, they can easily just read and grasp it. By the time you go into the functional or you go into the hybrid where you begin to write plenty grammar, it can just confuse them. You may not even have the patience to go through it, go through the length right up and just discard it, or feel that you're probably hiding your lack of experience under plenty grammar you're writing. So rule of thumb, when in doubt, go for the reverse chronological resume format. So remember, we're talking about choosing the right resume format, choose the resume format, rule of thought. We've already gone through all of that. Now, still under resume development, which I've almost practically covered, add your contact name and information. The top of your resume should include your name, email address, location, LinkedIn profile. Have mentioned that. Write a standard resume headline or objective. Resume headline is a concise one-line description of who you are as a candidate. A well-written headline can grab a recruiter's attention and encourage them to take a more detailed look at your qualifications. Talk about that. Add your professional resume summary statement. Resume summary statement is a short paragraph or section of bullet points at the beginning of a resume that highlights the professional skills and experience. Your summary should expand on your headline and communicate to recruiters and hiring managers why you are a good fit job. This is more or less like talking about the hybrid resume format, because this is where talk about your skills and then your experience mentioned here. So detail your work experience. Again, this emphasizes that this is more or less like the hybrid or combination resume format. Detail your work experience. The first thing to recruiter looks for on your resume are the job titles you held and the caliber of companies you work with. Make this information easy to find by sticking to a familiar format. This should be in reverse chronological order and will include the company, the job location, your job title, the start and end date. Gotten that right? Next, you list your relevant skills and keywords. Resume keywords are important terms of interest that recruiters look for, whether skimming a resume or searching within an applicant tracking system. The more role-specific keywords often has skills your resume contains, the better optimized your resume is. Then add your education, certifications, and any other relevant information. Here are other resume sections that may be worth adding. Depending on both the job and your unique experience, this section includes things like education, awards and accolades, volunteer experience, and certifications. The education category should always include name of institution, degree, school location, years attended for clarity, so that they don't want it to be fake. They want to actually be assured that what the information you're giving out there is authentic. By the time you put all of this information, you know that this person doesn't have anything to hide. If we want to browse, we want to confirm this information, she has already given us the direction to where we can go and make the confirmation. But by the time you make it vague, degree, first class, second class in this and that, you don't mention the score, whatever, might just sound like jargon stories and that cannot be verified. Now, tailor your resume and optimize for applicant tracking system. It's very easy these days to fire up your resume to dozens of jobs. But if you've tried this method, you may have been disappointed by your success rate. That's because you didn't take the time to customize your resume for each individual role, and recruiters can tell. Now, if you apply for a job, a construction firm, tailor your resume to suit that job in the construction firm. The applicant tracking system that is tracking through the resumes to know what to look out for. No certain words, that's the keywords that we'll be looking out for them to be able to screen through and grasp for consideration. Now, if you tailor your resume to fit the construction job you're seeking employment in, you will use those keywords, and those keywords will now make the applicant tracking system recognize your resume and make it as a possible one for consideration. Now, if you apply for job in an advertising firm, tailor your resume to suit, a job in the job you're seeking for in that advertising firm. Then by using keywords that best suit the advertising industry, and then the applicant tracking system can be able to track your resume as one of the ones to consider, and several others. So don't just use one resume, 10 different types of opportunities comes up, the same resume. By the time the applicant tracking system is sorting out, they cannot find keywords that tailor, that suits the opportunities that is being advertised for. Your resume, much beautifully prepared resume, will just end up being discarded, and the whole effort will come to null and void. So I hope you have learned a thing or two on resume development. Is very important for you to know more in detail. I encourage us to go carry out research on resume development, types of resume, and how to apply these different types depending on the jobs we are looking for. Now, I'd like to give us an assignment in this class, and that assignment is for you to put together a resume. Everybody will put together a resume and submit. That resume, you have to indicate what type of resume you are writing. For instance, if the resume you're preparing rather, for instance, if the resume you're preparing is the reverse chronological order, state it there at the top. Resume type, reverse chronological order. You now prepare your resume so that I can look at it, assess it, and know whether it falls under the category of reverse chronological. Now, if the resume you are preparing is a functional type of resume, format of resume, put it there. Resume type, functional, resume format, functional type, and then go ahead and prepare it. I will assess it and see that it falls within that. Now, if you're on the other hand, if the resume you're preparing is the hybrid or combination type of resume, please just put it there. Resume format hybrid or combination type of resume, and go ahead and prepare. Whichever one I'm going to assess first and get back to us, give us feedback to know whether yes, it falls within the required expectations or not. Please remember this is very, very important, and I need this assignment latest midnight on Sunday. Please remember, everybody, we do this assignment, prepare a resume and indicate at the top the type of resume you are preparing, then prepare a resume and forward to me for assessment. I'll get back to you on this. Thank you very much for staying with me up to the end of the week 4 of this digital literacy class. It has been a thrilling adventure for me. It has been an amazing experience, learning alongside with you. I have actually learned a lot as well while going through this training. I look forward to the amazing weeks that are still left ahead. So enjoy the ride. Thank you.